Now let's bring in Officer Devin Brosnan and his attorney, Don Samuel. Gentlemen, welcome. Officer Brosnan, we're told that you do not want to speak, that everything should go through your attorney. But if you don't mind, I'm still going to address some questions to you. You can pass them off to your attorney if you so like. First off, what happened this morning? What was it like turning yourself in?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I have full faith in the criminal justice system. It was polite, expedient, absolutely professional, and Fulton County Sheriff, sir, nothing but to be commended for what they did for me today.
Officer, are you going to cooperate with the DA?
I'm looking forward to cooperating with any investigators who are interested in having a conversation about what happened that night.
There seemed to be an implication, Officer Brosnan, that you would testify against Garrett Rolfe. Is that something you have ruled out?
Can I answer that? There seems to be some misunderstanding on the prosecutor's part. We have been cooperative with the district attorney's office. We spent 3 hours with them 2 days ago answering all of their questions. We offered to give them the medical records from Grady Hospital, where Devin, they confirmed that he had a concussion. We've offered to bring them, these pictures that were taken of him. And we are being fully cooperative. We're going to answer all the questions that they have or the GBI has. And we've already arranged to have the GBI interview next week. But he's not a state's witness or defense witness. He's a witness. He is going to answer anybody's questions accurately. And if Officer Rolfe subpoenas him, he'll answer his questions. Right now, the DA has charged him with a crime, so he's a defendant now. And he's not going to answer, the DA's questions, while they bring these false charges against him. So, I regret that the district attorney apparently was given misinformation yesterday. Officer Brosnan is not going to be a, quote, state's witness, which is, kind of TV talk. He's either going to be a witness and describe the facts, or he's going to be sitting next to me at counsel table.
Mr. Samuel and Officer Brosnan, Andrea Mitchell spoke to the DA last hour, and she asked him about this. I want to play what he said.
Thank you.
His story, but that he's not, quote, a state's witness.
Andrea, let me tell you, that's really just, that whole discussion is subterfuge away from the real important issues in this case. I will just say that we stick by our comments made on yesterday, but I'm hoping people will turn back to the crux of this issue. And the crux of this issue is that Mr. Brooks is dead for really no valid reason at all.
Mr. Samuel, Officer Brosnan, can you clear that up for us? Because you both are saying two different things on what seems to be just a yes or a no answer. Is he going to be cooperating with the DA against Officer Rolfe?
No, he's not cooperating against anybody. He's going to provide accurate information about what happened. He's going to describe what's in these videos and in these body cams. He's going to describe what he saw, what he heard during these events. Witnesses are witnesses. They don't belong to either party. They don't belong to the prosecution. He doesn't belong to the state. And he's not going to testify against someone. Right now, we are focusing on, the defense of him, the false charges that the district attorney brought against him, which, by the way, have nothing to do with the shooting, but the allegation that he was too slow in rendering aid, which is just preposterous if you look at the videos. So, I kind of agree with Mr. Howard. It's a little bit of a tempest in a teapot here to talk about, whether he is going to cooperate or not. He is going to cooperate. He's going to talk to the GBI. And if someone from the DA's office has questions about the interview we did the other day, he's going to answer those questions too.
Officer Brosnan and Mr. Samuel, I'm curious. And Officer Brosnan, thinking back to that night, are there things you wish were done differently and were handled differently?
At this point in time, especially until I speak with the GBI, that's a conversation I want to have with them and any of their parties who are investigating it.
you have any message to Mr. Brooks's family that you want to express?
Yeah, I think this is a tragic event, and it's totally a total tragedy that a man had to lose his life that night.
Officer Brosnan, the DA says Officer Rolfe kicked Mr. Brooks twice after he was shot and on the ground. Did you see that happening?
I did not.
You may
Mr.
remember
Samuel, you said that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you look at the video, what happened after the scuffle is that Officer Brosnan got a concussion. He was thrown to the ground. He was shot by his own taser. And he walks up and starts running up and hears the shots and is disoriented, not only from the concussion, but by the crowds that have already started yelling. And he's disoriented and he doesn't even know who shot the gun. And he actually hides behind a car when he hears the gunshots and then walks up to the scene. So he didn't see, Officer Rolfe's first encounter with Brooks. And so he can't provide any information about that at all, one way or the other. So if you just look at the video, you'll see that he knows very little about what happened during the initial encounter. And he certainly rendered aid as fast as he could. There were other officers there who also were standing there. Officer Brosnan with a concussion is the only one, not the other officers who show up, who actually starts rendering aid and doing CPR and putting coagulant in the wounds and the compression bandages. And he gets charged. He gets charged with failing to render aid, where all these other police officers are just standing there.
Officer Brosnan, when were you diagnosed with a concussion?
After the incident, I went to the hospital, and that day, doctor diagnosed me.
Mr. Samuel, do you think the DA, if they're going to bring charges against Officer Brosnan, then you think the DA should have brought charges on the other police officers that were standing around? Is that what you're saying?
I use it by illustration. I don't think anybody should have been charged with failure to render aid. He is getting CPR in less than 2 minutes after the shooting. It took Officer Brosnan time to get there. They had to get the first aid kit. They're turning him over to try to find the exit wounds and the entrance wounds. They get a knife. They're cutting off his shirt in order to help render aid. You can hear the sirens coming. Nobody should have been charged. I only point out that other officers were there to show how ludicrous are the charges against him, who's just been thrown to the ground and has a concussion. He's the one who supposedly failed to render aid. The answer is nobody failed to render aid. Everybody did as much as they could to help this man. Nobody wanted him to get shot. Nobody wanted him to be injured. Certainly nobody wanted it to be a fatal injury, least of all Officer Brosnan.
Before the deadly encounter, and it sounds like, Officer Brosnan, it sounds like from understanding you were disoriented and didn't sort of see didn't really be able to understand or see what happened in those final moments. But before those moments, did you think Mr. Brooks was somehow being uncooperative at that time? I mean, at the beginning, he was seemed to be very cooperative.
As I stated earlier, sir, just since it's an ongoing investigation, my focus right now is answering those questions with the people investigating it, continuing to answer and cooperate with them in any manner they need.
Okay.
Officer, the DA says that you are being hit with the assault charge because you stood on Mr. Brooks's shoulder while he lay dying.
If you look at the video, as Officer Brosnan approaches, and Officer Rolfe is already there, he doesn't even know that Mr. Brooks has been shot at first. He doesn't even realize that first, Devin. And he goes up there and he's trying to figure out, is this scene secure? Is it safe? He knows that his taser has been taken from him. You can't see any blood at that point, to be overly graphic here. So he puts his foot, and he told the DA this, he puts his foot, he thought, on his hand or on his arm to make sure he couldn't get a weapon because he didn't know what the situation was. So literally for a matter of seconds, he puts his foot on his arm to make sure he can't grab a weapon. Then he realizes what's going on. He can see his taser is off to the side because it's got a flashlight on it, and he can see the taser. So he gets up and he Officer Brosnan goes and gets the taser, puts it in his holster. Other officers are now arriving within 50 seconds. And Officer Rolfe runs and gets his first aid kit. He was not standing on his shoulders. This description by the DA is completely belied by the video if you look at it. It's all on video. It's all on video. And the district attorney just kind of exaggerates this and makes it look like some terrible event where he's standing on his shoulders. It is preposterous, and it is not true. And all you got to do is look at the video. And it'll show that he didn't do anything like that. And they charge him with aggravated assault for that.
2 minutes is quite a long time.
It's not
when somebody isn't. The DA is saying it's 2 minutes, and
he's wrong.
As somebody is he's wrong.
He's wrong. Look at the video.
It took less time to call. It took less time to call.
Look at the videotape. There's a videotape. There's a videotape that shows with a timestamp.
What was your impression? What was your impression of Mr. Brooks before the scuffle, before before shots were fired, before he took a taser, before there was a physical interaction?
So my initial encounter with him, I felt he was friendly. He was respectful. I was respectful to him. And I felt like, he seemed like someone who potentially needed my help. And I was really just there to see what I could do for him, make sure that he was safe.
Did you put any consideration into allowing him to walk home to his sister's house? I mean, you had the guy's car, you had his car keys, you knew his name, you presumably saw his license. I mean, you could follow up. Was there any consideration given to allowing him to go home and then pursuing him later?
Like I said earlier in my statement, until I speak with the GBI and other investigators, I think that is questions that they need to get the answer to before I say anything.
Don Samuel and Officer Devin Brosnan, we appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective on this, and we'll be following things along.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.